It's getting to be standard operating procedure that Florida State baseball is something other than a host for a regional, and certainly someone who isn't winning them. So that is what would lead, obviously, to much consternation. That is true of a program that prides itself on the standard being that you get to Omaha and that you find a way, obviously, to make a run, to give yourself the best opportunity to capture that very elusive, ever elusive national championship. And while that always looms large over this baseball program, the other thing about this baseball program over the entirety of my career in media and basically going all the way back to when I went to school here, the other thing about this program was that you could rely on it. You could rely on it to be good, really good. And that's what added to, that was the root of all of the frustration, right? That's what made us all so upset, was that they were so good annually, so good year in and year out, that when you couldn't win the national championship, you thought, when is it going to be our time? When will Florida State finally cash it in? Mike Martin's been too good. The program has been littered with all-world players for a very long time, and they've gone on deep runs, and they've had successful stints and stretches where you thought it's just a matter of time. They're close. Obviously Golden Spikes Award winners and everything else under the sun, and you thought it's going to happen. To the extent that when it didn't, obviously it led to the aforementioned consternation of which I speak. But the problem now, and Corey Clark, our cohort here at Warchant.com, wrote about it today, and he's right. He's spot on here. We sometimes agree in total, other times partly, other times not at all. But he is spot on here. It is a greater concern. It is of greater concern for all of us that are watching this program in their efforts here lately, that it is that of a program that is diminishing in stature, is that of a program that is no longer filled with the expectations that I made reference to mere seconds ago, which was the annual run to the postseason with real gravitas, real weight to it, real belief that perhaps the squad as currently comprised will be the one to kick down the door and win the national championship. Now, those expectations don't really rightfully exist if we're being honest with ourselves, right? If we're being really pragmatic, if we are looking at this and we're saying, I'm a realist. You watched that team and you got to about the halfway point of the season and you said to yourself, oh, they can't win it. They don't do enough things well. The teams that didn't win it previous, that left us frustrated once again because they did a lot of things well. They hit for power. They got on base. They had enough starting pitching. They had at least 2 bullpen arms you felt really good about. They had speed. They had a lot of things they could reach back for in the biggest moments of the biggest games. And it was a misnomer for many years for this fan base to say that Florida State didn't win big games. Oh, contraire. They won a ton of big games. That's how you get to the College World Series, is by winning a lot of big games. They just didn't win the final game, the national championship. But to get there as consistently as they did, for as long as they did, which led to those weighty expectations of which I speak, they had to be balanced. They had to be good across the board, and they always were, and they're not now. They're not now. They're bad at so many things. In a lot of ways, and this sounds strange, if you really think about this team statistically and also what you saw with your eyes, it's kind of a miracle they got there at all. It's kind of a miracle they were in a position to win another game in this regional and perhaps put themselves in a position to surprise folks at Auburn. Wouldn't have happened. They weren't going to beat Auburn. But hey, they got that close to putting themselves in a position, because when you consider what they don't do well, which is virtually everything, it's tough to think of a way that they could have gone beyond this weekend, right? Like, we've gone from saying, what a bitter disappointment if they were upset, if they got beaten before they got out to Omaha. We've gone from saying, oh, that's tough, man. Golly, that was a good team, baseball was just baseball this weekend, and they got nipped by a guy who was feeling it and dotting the corners, or there was that one errant throw, or that was that great play, or that great performance from an opposing team's pitcher, whatever it might have been. We've gone from saying, oh, what if so close, this team was good, to I'd be very surprised if this team went on any kind of a run. Like when they did go to Omaha, the 2019, we talk about it all the time. When we were in Baton Rouge, Tom, when we went there and we saw that upset as they swept that regional, and we got there and thought, oh my God, we're in like the backyard of greatness. All these national titles that LSU has cashed in on, and this fan base, arguably the best in all of college baseball. I don't even know if it's arguable. I think they are. We got there and we felt in awe to be there and thought, well, let's give it a go. Let's see what happens. We're not real good. I'm kind of surprised we're here. And then we won. We won. And it was stunning, though. Never forget that it was stunning that we won. That was not an all-time great LSU team. Obviously, we weren't good all year, and then found a way. Got hot at the right time, won. My point is, we were stunned by that result, and that truly was baseball being baseball. I'm trying to think back now on the last time that I expected Florida State to go on a deep run, because the talent on the field, the week-to-week performance, the wins, the domination, the balance, the pitching, it was all on display for us to say, yeah, they'll win. They're good. That's a good team. They're going to host this regional. They'll dominate this regional. Then they're going to host the next week, and this is a tough place to come and play. We're the deeper team. We're going back to Omaha. Let's sit back and look at the other teams that are going to go to Omaha and see, where do we sit in the pecking order of those teams. There's usually a hiccup along the way, because baseball is baseball after all. Somebody gets upset that's a top 8 national seed, and you're like, oh, well, we don't have to deal with Vanderbilt anymore. We don't have to deal with so-and-so anymore. Okay, who else is left? And we would circle 2 or 3 teams. The team that had won like 20 of their last 22 games and had a first-round pitcher in the making, right? We would look at a perennial power. We would look at somebody, let's say, like we'd see a Arizona State or a USC or something, and we go, okay, well, they're good. Obviously, they're good. And then we would try to figure out where we sat amongst those elite teams. We're just not even close to doing that now. We can't run the bases. We just get willy-nilly picked off for no damn reason other than we're half asleep. Nobody communicates. They don't get on base. They swing and miss all the time. They don't have any power whatsoever. We haven't picked up the baseball in years and years. Years. We're just out here, guys playing second base, can't throw to first base. Guys at third, every time they get it, we go, hold your breath, because this one's probably in the stands. Terrible angles on balls in the outfield. It's just a mess. And it's frustrating to no end. And you're wondering, how did we get here? How did we get to a place where the expectations are so low? Because, to be fair, I'm holding them to the standard that they set, and you're never a victim of your own success. It can be tough to live up and reach the bar that you've set, but you're not a victim of your success. That's the expectation, and that's what you'd want it to be, and that's what Mike Martin Jr. wants it to be. It's what his dad wanted it to be. It's what this program has been forever. In many ways, it has done us all very proud for freaking 5 decades. But right now, they're kind of an afterthought when we think of big-time college baseball. Like big-time college baseball, Florida State's not coming to mind right now. Anybody who watches them play doesn't sit around thinking that's a threat to win the College World Series. And that's what we ought to be at all times here, a threat to win the College World Series. That's the standard. Now, they got a lot of things going against them. They're still retooling a roster, and I want to leave hope. I want to leave hope that that is still a process that, in the end, will win out. That Meat will get enough players in here that some of the things of which I speak that they fail miserably in doing, they will get righted. They'll get more of the likes of Tibbs in here, and kids like it. Maybe. But, man, I'm rightfully, and I think you are too, very concerned. And you know who else I think is concerned? Mike Martin Jr. And I don't think he's concerned because he thinks he's going to lose his job. He's not going to lose his job. Now, it's short of a mutiny, and I don't know of anything like that coming. But obviously, if a bunch of players decided to leave here, and that was an indicator of real problems in the clubhouse that we're unaware of from the outside. So I don't know if that's happening. It could be, maybe not. Maybe they're one big happy family. Who knows? But what I would say is, short of something like that, he'll get another year. Understandably so, he'll get another year. But, man, you have got to see massive leaps forward in the quality of player and play and the consistency of the simplest things. Like, they're fundamentally flawed in ways that are staggering. How does that happen? Well, I know this. I know when I watch baseball or any sport, football, baseball, basketball, you name it, any sport I watch, if I'm watching a team that consistently doesn't do the little things well, doesn't do the very basic things required of you to succeed consistently in the sport, what do we all do? We rightfully say, what is going on in practice? Which is another way of saying, what is this coach doing? That is standard operating procedure when people are fundamentally flawed. It's true in individual sports, Tom. We watch a golfer fall to pieces, and we say, he needs to go somewhere else. He better go see Butch Harmon. Something's going on here with his swing. It's all out of whack. He's fundamentally flawed in what he's doing. He can't repeat it over and over and over again. We do it in all sports. It's the fairest thing in the world. I think if Mike Martin Jr. was sitting across from me right now, he would agree that that is the way that we view and assess players, coaches, teams that come up short of the standard. That is the normal way to go about your business. So I'd like to know, because I will tell you this, I've talked hours upon hours upon hours of baseball with Mike Martin Jr., and he is incredibly knowledgeable of baseball. If you talk with him about baseball, you would never walk away from that conversation thinking he doesn't understand what he's doing. Oh, no, the opposite is true. Those hour-long conversations that we have at the beginning of every season bears witness to that, does it not? Every time we play that interview, people come back feeling better about the direction of the program because of the thoroughness, the honesty, the candor in that interview that he gives, right? All of it's there. Objectively speaking, it's all there all the time. But when we watch this product, it would suggest otherwise. And that tells me something's broken. And that's where, if you listen to the post-game interview with Ian Scolaro, right, you could see it on his face. He's sad for the young man sitting next to him on his left. He's sad for his team. He's sad to have been bounced. He's frustrated. But you could see he's thinking. He's thinking that this is not working. He's thinking, what do I have to do? What do we have to do better? When he talks about we have to seriously assess, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, our process, what we're doing. You're damn right. Because the evidence that you see on the field would tell you that whatever knowledge you have is not being passed on in a way that is accessible and then executable. Because they're not. They suck at most things. They don't walk. They don't get on base at all. They run the bases like children. They can't pick up the ball ever. And now they don't hit for power at all either. What is it you say you do here? I mean, at some point, you got to give me something. Like, if you can't hit for power and you're a bunch of slappies, you better be able to pick it. You better not give up runs defensively. You better make the other team really earn it. Okay, we're going to pitch, we're going to play defense, and then we're going to have to recruit some power because right now we don't have any. Okay, well, that's fine. Not every team has everything that you can just check. Got it. Those are the special teams. But this team doesn't have that. They don't do that well. And at the end of the year, the pitching wasn't even any good. At the end of the year, the thing that you thought you could fall back on, which was this frontline pitching, it fell to pieces too. Some more than others. But I mean, by the season's end, did you think Hubbard was going to go out there and get anybody out for like a prolonged period of time? Was Hubbard ever going to give you more than, say, 5 innings? He didn't think that. So, I don't know that I'm even mad. Like, this doesn't require a bunch of hooping and hollering. This isn't one of these over-the-top diatribes, I'm so angry. This is they got a lot of work to do and a lot of things to figure out and a lot of questions to answer, and they would admit that. He would admit that. I believe that is true. I think he knows that ain't it. That ain't it, man. That's terrible. We're an afterthought and also ran. We're barely making it into the tournament, apparently. And once we get there, we look like a team that barely made it into the tournament. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Refreshing and simple. 2 words you don't hear many people use to describe their experience going through the process of getting a home loan. That's what puts the Hamilton Home Loans experience in a category all their own. If you're buying or refinancing a home, Hamilton Home Loans will provide a personalized mortgage experience that is dedicated to making the process refreshingly simple. It all begins with an initial consultation with an experienced Hamilton Home Loans advisor to find out what your goals are in order to find the right mortgage to suit your specific needs. Then, your personal home loan advisor will take you through all the steps from application, underwriting, approval, and closing, all the way to the front steps of your new home. Once you've experienced the Hamilton Home Loan process, you can be a customer for life and never have to pay lender fees again. For first responders, nurses, physician assistants, teachers, active and retired military, ask about the Hamilton for Heroes program. Personalized attention with your needs put first. Now that's refreshingly simple. Find out more at HamiltonHomeLoans.com. That's HamiltonHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 200719.
Hi, my name is Shannon Pash, and I'm the principal at Red Hills Academy. We will provide a challenging, rigorous curriculum. We will also work with our students to teach them how to set goals and then how to work to reach those goals. Red Hills Academy will offer the Spanish language every day. Relationships are really important to us, not just with our students, but with our families and the community. This benefits parents and students alike because parents get that involvement within the school. Easily apply online today at redhillsacademy.com.
Paul's Termite and Pest Control has been serving North Florida for over 50 years. When you've been around that long, you're certain to see change. Back in the day, almost all of our competitors were just like us, owned and operated by local people to keep their lawns green, protect North Florida customers from pests, and their homes from termites. We always had a great respect for our competitors because they truly cared about the well-being of our community as we at Paul's do. But things began to rapidly change. The local competition began selling out to big companies based in places like Orlando, Atlanta, and Memphis. Local decisions being made by people who know very little about the unique needs of North Florida. And now, many of them are being bought by international companies based overseas. Local decisions made by people in Great Britain. In our industry, being local does matter. Paul's Termite and Pest Control is still owned, managed, and operated by people that live in North Florida. This is our community. We proudly make it our home, and all of our decisions are made locally to serve our customers. For the elimination of termites and other pests,
and a greener lawn, too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Whitten Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Whitten's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Whitten Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Whitten Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at whittenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Shannon, give them a call today if you're interested in the process and how it is that they ease your mind and take you through this and make it a 5-star experience. They are partnered with us here on the Jeff Cameron Show. We are partnered with them for good reason. We can vouch for the good work that Chad and Shannon do. 844 FSU Loan. That's the phone number to call, or you can check them out, FSUHomeLoans.com. But all the mortgage process can be intimidating. Doesn't have to be. They help alleviate all of that. It's definitely a different kind of mortgage experience, and one that you'll appreciate, actually really appreciate, because in the midst of all of it, you'll have an opportunity to talk about the Noles, as we do every day. So that is Hamilton Home Loans, 844 FSU Loan. The reason that you will is they're both diehard Noles. And again, FSUHomeLoans.com. So Hamilton Home Loans. Good news for Florida State basketball. International prospect in the form of Baba Miller has committed to Florida State. He is the top international basketball prospect looking to play college basketball. That's good. He's 18 years old. He's 6'11" with a 7'2" wingspan. Can play both out on the perimeter, but has some size, so he can get a little bit closer to the basket too, although sounds more Euro in nature than not in terms of a perimeter shooter.
I like this development, though, and by development, I mean physically for him, because at 14, he was 6'2".
Yeah.
So that's a huge growth spurt in a few years. We've had a player like that once upon a time. His name was Fiondu Kabengale, who was a two-guard when we started on him. By the time that he committed and enrolled at Florida State, he was a tweener. He was a wing. So we have a track record of being able to deal with a player like this. Also, the thing that's obvious is if he's considering Gonzaga or FSU, that is a baseline for a good prospect.
Yeah,
really
that's
good.
The second part of where I was going there, is that we oftentimes, without a fundamental grasp of who a player is, especially a player playing for the Real Madrid B team league, I don't watch them. It's gambling, as much gambling as I like to do. I'm not invested in those leagues. So that'd be a problem.
Right.
B leagues.
You're on the gold level right now. You're not on platinum level. If you knew about this kid based upon FIBA under 18 league play, and you were wagering on FIBA under 18 league play, that would be platinum level gambler.
That'd be something, huh? So he's the EBA league or whatever. Yeah, that's he's not there. I don't know what he did there other than what the stats tell me, but I didn't watch him. He scored 11 points a game. I know that. But I know that if you're competing against Gonzaga for a player and they've evaluated him, I feel good about having won that individual battle. Ironic that this comes out this week as my son is at the Leonard Hamilton basketball camp. And oh, by the way, Ray Allen is there.
What?
Ray Allen is at the FSU Leonard Hamilton basketball camp. He was there last night. Crazy. I was like, why is Ray Allen here? This is insane. But he is.
Did you go hang out?
I didn't. I saw him, but I didn't hang out. It was awkward. A lot of people were in awe that Ray Allen was just standing there.
And how tall is he?
Very.
Yeah. And yet he was a shorter player in his day.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
I figured out. I think he's here. His son is part of. There's like 100 and something basketball squads coming to town starting Friday. That's right, 140 something. It's nuts. So the camp ends Thursday, and then Friday, all these high school teams play this tournament. And anyhow, long story short,
all the kids on the court at one time, half court.
I have a suspicion that Ray Allen's son must be amongst them. Otherwise, I don't know why he'd be here. But it's really cool that he is, and it was really cool for my son to see him because my son is an NBA nut and knows who he is. And texted me the second that he realized. It was funny. I was leaving last night when I saw him and went, well, that's Ray Allen. Well, that's odd. And then I kept walking because he was being besieged by people. And then I went and got in my car and I called my wife and I went, Ray Allen's here. This is bizarre. And then about 45 minutes later, I get a text, Ray Allen's here, Dad. Yeah. So
you should have texted back, bang.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Great. Always great call. But nonetheless, that camp's going on, and it's a good week for Florida State basketball and for the Leonard Hamilton camp. And now a player that, you're happy to bring in, especially after John Butler said peace and took it to the NBA. So I don't know that this is enough for me to say, all right, they're going to turn it around and make a deep run next year, anything like that. I don't know enough about this player other than he's got a 7'2" wingspan and a lot of people wanted him to come play, and that's a great get. And so I'm excited But I think they still have a lot of work to do. So we shall see. I'm rooting for it. I'm rooting for it to happen. I tell you, the one thing I want to be wrong about, I make a lot of predictions here all the time. Sometimes I get them partly right. Sometimes I get them totally right. Sometimes I get them totally wrong. And I would love to be totally wrong on my thought that Florida State's not going to return to the level. I said it last week, that I don't think Florida State will return to the level that they were when they got screwed out of the COVID season, when I think they would have gone to the Final Four. I don't think they're going to get back to that place. And that disappoints me because I love Leonard Hamilton. And I wanted that for him before he left here as much as I wanted it for FSU. And I rarely say that about coaches, but I feel strongly about who he is as a man. So I did want that for him, but I don't think they'll get back there.
This is a big step in the right direction. For me, the next step, I can't know until November. And that's the beginning of the season. I just want to see what the attitude of the team is. Not in the exhibition games they're going to play, but inevitably you play Florida early on in the season. There might be, I know ACC Big Ten is in December, but usually there's another game or two, maybe a tournament around Thanksgiving or whatever, where you can see what is the mental makeup of this group. I got to see it. I got to see that they're tougher physically and mentally.
Well,
if they are to go along with this talented addition, and now you've got a grad transfer coming from the Ivy League who can bang on the glass, right? That's what you need.
Well, let me say this. Our concern, we shared this concern, was that the culture, which had been the big winner here, that what had been developed here over time, allowed for Florida State to punch above their weight class. Kids that maybe otherwise would have never thought about going to Florida State went to Florida State, not just because they were having success in producing players to the NBA, which is important. If you're going to get the upper crust talent, you have to show that you can arrive to the NBA from here, playing the style of basketball that Florida State plays, where we play so many guys throughout the course of a year. You have to find that guy who's willing to be unselfish, to basically be the sixth man of the year. A guy who's willing to not start despite having starters skills, and to buy into a program, buy into a culture. That is what was under assault, we thought last year, was that this culture that had always really taken hold of every individual, no matter what they were before they got here, didn't appear to have done so with a couple of guys, a couple that we're rolling our eyes at a little bit, partly for a lack of toughness, also rumors of discontent, that sort of thing really troubled us. This is a culture win. His quote is that, and I'll read it directly, the style of play matches mine with my abilities and the freedom that they give their players to make plays at any position. I love the culture at Florida State. As soon as I got there, I could see the brotherhood that they have on this team. They have a tight relationship between the players and the coaches. I love the vibes I got from the team when I was there. That's a good sign, because we were worried about it.
Yeah, well, it's saying all the right things, but I don't think, given his options, and even though
could have gone to Gonzaga,
even though Timmy came back, I think that set the wheels in motion and made it a little bit easier on us. But he still could have gone, or he could have gone somewhere else. That he said the right things is a good step. But I mean, yeah, you look at how many consecutive years where the game is in the balance. And even though you've got a good feeling about we're going to be tough, the game is still in the balance. Somebody else has the basketball. They're going to shoot. You could lose. You could lose in those moments. And you look at our record in one-score games or the overtime streak that this program's had, which is unbelievable. All of those are because of little things and because of the character. It's, basically the opposite of what baseball is right now, where you knew that they would be greater than the sum of their parts in some nights. And even though they had a bad night from the field, because there was whatever that intangible was, they'll be in a position to win the basketball game. And they won a lot of them where they had their B stuff or their C stuff. But this past year, they looked disinterested at times. And I think that's more than fair to say disinterested. It's probably a worse word out there.
I think it's going to be important to note that obviously there are a lot of guys that a lot of other players that they're going to be counting on beyond Matthew Cleveland, say Caleb Mills, if he can get tougher, whatever that might look like. But, I think we should note that getting Darren Green, the transfer from UCF, who's a scorer, obviously, and a really experienced player in the backcourt, which they need, and he's tough. And then you mentioned Jalen Gainey, the Ivy League player, the center from Brown, who's so tough. Yeah, so that will be a big deal.
This kid can shoot from the perimeter. Yep. Mm-hmm. The one we just added, Bobby Miller.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, he was 35% from three. That'll work.
Right.
Let's just
he can stretch, play that. I mean, yes, you're kind of resetting the John Butler experiment thing.
You are.
but that stretches the floor along with a couple of guys. You've got more options that when they let it go from the perimeter, you're thinking that
could go in. That could go in.
Whereas this year, for long stretches, it was, well, this is a useless possession.
So, good news for Florida State basketball on the heels of me documenting the bad news for Florida State baseball. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, and Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Tallahassee Police Department says the body of a man who had been missing for over a month was discovered late Friday morning. Police say 26-year-old Christopher Ellis was found around 11 a.m. on the Miccosukee Greenway on the 4500 block of Miccosukee Road. Preliminary findings have determined the incident is not the result of a criminal act and no foul play is suspected. Ellis went missing on April 22nd and was last seen in the 1700 block of Hermitage Boulevard. This is an active investigation. Before signing the $110 billion state budget Thursday, Governor DeSantis vetoed $3 billion in spending from the plan, $1 million of which was dedicated to the second harvest of the Big Bend, who says they were disappointed by the decision as they were planning to use the money to expand distribution and get food to more people in more rural communities. Monique Pelt, Second Harvest CEO, said the community doesn't have to worry, however, as they will pivot and won't stop their momentum to continue to serve the community. This is Rachel Anaya with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Daytime highs approaching 89. Southeast winds around 5 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tonight. Lows around 69. Partly cloudy skies. Slight chance for scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. Highs level off around 92. Mainly sunny skies and calm. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 87.
Men, it's time. The Men's March to End Abortion and Rally for Personhood is Saturday, June 11th, the weekend before Father's Day, from 12 to 3 p.m. in Tallahassee, Florida. Men gather at 12 p.m. for the march. All women, children, and families join us for the 2 p.m. rally at the Florida State Capitol. You are needed. Every life matters. Join us on June 11th in Tallahassee. For more information, go to themensmarch.com.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pastor Tabner was alone with a female church employee. She in a towel and he in his boxers. The charismatic 41-year-old Hurley explained the two of them had been making chili and gotten food on their clothes. With the hot dogs that they were making, we are hoping that the pastor used the right condiments.
I think there was at least one hot dog involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were just making chili dogs.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. Jeff Cameron Show is sponsored by the legendary team at Hamilton Home Loans. Great rates, cutting-edge technology, and transparent communication is the recipe for a 5-star mortgage experience at FSUHomeLoans.com.
The camp that's going on over there for all the latest on the camp with all the kids. Oh my God. No thanks. No thanks for me over there.
For you.
For me.
It was awkward.
Oh man.
It's not a no. Go to the site. That is a thanks. That's good.
Yeah, no, Warchant.com's got you covered on that stuff, but man, I'm glad I don't have to cover that. Woo. I saw Austin. He didn't see me. I was just flying past that camp on my way home. I'm like, ooh, I'm out of here. This sucks for you. Thank goodness we've got somebody there willing to work so hard and give us the insight. There's a lot of folks at Warchant who do just that.
That was actually going to be my assignment.
Oh,
but
no.
Then, hey, man,
you would have hated it.
I would have worked through it, and we would have been
found,
fine.
You would have found a way.
We would have been fine.
Yeah.
But instead, I went to Auburn. So, and I got to take in that game on Saturday.
You got to watch the 21-7 ass kicking.
Yeah. I stayed for every pitch. That's how much I care.
Well, at some point you have to, right? At some point you're
Yeah,
like, I'm
yep.
locking in. That's it. I'm gonna be here for this historic beatdown.
Well, the night was wearing on. It was 4 hours old.
Got late.
It did. 400 pitches. And I looked at Jamie and I said, someday when we go back to Omaha, it's going to mean more because we're sitting here tonight.
Yeah, that's the way to watch. That's what you have to tell yourself. Yeah.
As I lied to myself.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what you have to do in that situation. I felt bad for you because I knew you were there, and I too was watching that game late into the night. But I did so with Cigar City Highlight, and so at some point when it was 11 or 12 or whatever to 1, I decided to get another highlight.
Yeah.
And they were tall boys.
You know that Auburn is still in the dark
Stone
ages?
It's can't drink there?
Designated tent areas. And they're worse than LSU's. They're way
Well,
worse.
remember when we were at LSU, they were so mad that they had to go to those designated areas.
Mm-hmm.
But they were 1 year removed. They were 1 year away
Yes.
from being able to have it at the ballpark. Yeah.
I thought the gateway was open for all SEC clubs. Now, I get it's an NCAA event, but that shouldn't matter. Whatever the local rules are, the local rules are. And, the tents were – they didn't even have seating, so I never went. I never went to it for 1 second.
Yeah.
But I can tell you from about, I don't know, the bottom of the 5th, because we were the home team, maybe the top of the 6th. All I could think about was an ice-cold beer.
Oh, well, for
That's
good
all
reason.
I could think about.
It gets old, a little monotonous watching Auburn or any opponent for that matter score again against Florida State.
And again.
And again.
And again.
And here
Oh,
comes
and we
some
kicked
more.
the ball around.
And then let's just throw it anywhere we like.
And we got picked off on a ball 4 on second?
How
What?
about
How do you
that?
get picked off between second and third
dude,
on ball 4 with a base
When
empty?
I watch our guys getting picked off on the regular, these days I just chuckle. And there's like 2 guys in one in the UCLA game. It happened twice.
Yes. Yeah.
You're like, okay, so in a 1-run game, we're gonna get a willy-nilly dudes just getting picked off.
Right. And then we're gonna head the
Because they're
baseball
not
towards
paying
the mound. Like what in the world? That's just, but it's not what in the world. It's in the world every day. And the question is, are we going to do enough to overcome? It reminds me.
Yeah, we put a lot of obstacles in our way to success.
Teenage high school me watching Florida State with Chris Ricks at the helm. There are going to be points on the board for the other team today. In fact, basically they're already there.
Yeah.
Somewhere between
Can we overcome?
Right.
Yeah.
6 to 10 points after his freshman season. 6 to 10 points are on the board for the opponent. Are we going to have enough in the tank to overcome those 6 to 10 points? And that's what it feels like with, we're giving away, we're extending the game by 4 or 5 outs, give or take. So there's an extra half an inning, maybe 2 innings worth of outs.
Sometimes, some games there are in total an extra 2 innings worth of work that our pitching staff has to deal with because guys can't communicate and or just pick up a ball routinely and throw it to first.
Right. Like when you add up the net effect of the defense along with the base running on the other side, you're losing about 2 innings worth of baseball or work.
Hey, so when we won 5-3, 5-3.
Yep.
Were you thinking when Lacey threw that ball 170 miles per hour over first base, which, by the way, everybody in the stadium knew was going to happen as soon as he picked it up?
I didn't, and I'll tell you why.
I did.
I know. So maybe it makes me exceptional for all the wrong reasons.
Okay.
Because he crow hopped an inning earlier, and he threw it on the money. So I was like, oh, okay. All right.
A little high. And that was why maybe the angle you couldn't see. It was a little high. And so
Terrell's really tall, though. I mean, it was within the strike zone.
Which means that it's real high if he's not that tall. So I remember thinking that seemed a little up the ladder and unnecessary. And then that play, and he's holding. It didn't matter. We won the game, but he's holding it. I'm like, why are you holding so long? Man, here we go. It's not Kevin Cash over there.
I hate the crow hop because it usually doesn't work, but it had previously worked. That's why I was like, okay, we're fine. I mean, listen, you could say the Jameis throw to Kelvin Benjamin was high, or you could say that he knew what he was doing.
Okay. So there it is. Anyhow, long story short, back to this, because this is a better news story, if you will, regarding Florida State. 3 Noles are on the ballot for the College Football Hall of Fame class of 2023. That's good news. That was announced today. Running back Warwick Dunn should be a shoo-in. What are we waiting on? Let's go. Sebastian Janikowski should be a shoo-in.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, all-time great, obviously. And then Peter Warwick, which I can't believe hasn't already happened. So there you go. That ought to be a 3 for 3. Let's go.
Boy, oh boy. Now here's interesting content.
Mm.
In what order, if you could only pick one, in what order? And you get 1 year. These are your 3, not anybody else. I know that there are other Noles who deserve to be in. But
It took Marvin Jones forever.
Right.
Should have taken 30 seconds.
So you only get 1 this year, 1 next year, 1 the year after that. And these are your 3 players. Is it just by default that Jano is going third because he's a kicker? Because he was unbelievable.
He was unbelievable. And I like that he was just such an ass about it all the time. And I love that about him. I mean, you talk about the mental makeup, the toughness. Warwick Dunn was, to me, that's from when you think about the amount of time that he was productive. Yeah, it's Warwick Dunn. And then it's Peter Warwick.
That's tough, though.
He's preternaturally great, though. He
could go Peter Warwick 1.
If we had lived in a modern time, him getting a hookup from a friend would not have cost him his opportunity to win a Heisman, which he most assuredly should have, given that the award goes to the best player in college football, and he was the best player in college football.
They're both exceptional players, but the bulb burned brighter for Peter Warwick, right? Isn't that fair to say?
Yeah, he was. I just remember being in awe all the time watching the stop-start, and the way that, these are elite athletes on the field simultaneously in some of these games. And you're watching this play out in a way in which you feel bad for said elite athlete on the other side. Like, oh, sir, this is not going to end well for you. You're in the open field with Peter Warwick. There's nothing you can do. I don't care who you are, how good your career is going to be at the next level. You're not stopping him. Had he not got hurt at the next level.
I think nationally it would be Peter Warwick first because of the iconic catch in the national championship game. Because
many plays.
People around the country might not remember Ward to Dunn, which is an unbelievable signature moment that this fan base knows intimately. So do you were in the building. But I think the college football world knows the Peter Warwick play and that Sugar Bowl against Michael Vick more than they would know some of the ins and outs of the amazing things and moments that Warwick Dunn had as a Nole. Like, they know that he's a Hall of Famer, but the Peter Warwick moments they make the highlight reel on the commercial 20 years later, 30 years later. That's what he has.
When you go watch the YouTube video that whoever it was put together for Peter Warwick, those plays I watched in real time, and I remember it like it was yesterday. But I remember that it is very rare we do this. When you're immersed in something, when it's happening right before you, you can recognize greatness. You can recognize that a player is the best player on the field. We do that all the time. We'll watch a game and you're like, well, that guy's probably the best player on the field right now. But it's very rare that you have the ability to step away from it long enough to kind of try to place them in historical categories where you say, all right, well, so if somebody like me, I'm 50. If I would say, did I see anybody in the 80s that I can tell you he's appreciably better than? Like, the best 5 players I saw in the 80s, is he appreciably better than? And in the case of Peter Warwick, the answer was always yes. And then years later, after his career was over, there would be special players in the college game, and I'd be like, well, Peter Warwick was a lot better than that guy, and that guy's the best player in the game right now. That's like how great he was. You kind of always knew it.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Have we had a receiver since Peter Warwick that's as good as Peter Warwick?
No.
Has it been close?
No.
Right.
Peter was a freak. A freak. The poor lesser than opponents, the teams that were not Miami or Florida, right? And he lit them up too, by the way. But any of those poor ACC teams, you'd be like, oh no, this poor man.
We're closing in on the silver anniversary of Peter Warwick playing here at Florida State. The answer should be yes. We have had a receiver close.
Mm-mm.
And we should have 4 or 5 of them at minimum.
Mm-mm.
But that's what we are here. That's always the thing that I play. It's the instrument nobody wants to hear. But we are not nearly as good at wide receiver as we should be as a program in the lore of the program.
That is correct. That would have been offset had we bothered to just hang on to Randy Moss.
Yes, it might have changed the course of things, because then he and the aforementioned, although that would have split the Heisman votes.
It's okay. We would have won the national championship,
right. Yeah,
and I just let everybody argue about
Cannell would have won. Yeah, Cannell would have won a Heisman.
Yeah, it was unreal. It was a special time to be here and to be a part of that and to watch that and to cover that and to see that. It was dumb, the stuff that he did. And this is one of those things. You're right about this when we talk about receivers. Peter Warwick was so special that, okay, we can get into the physical tools. We can talk about, speed, strength, good hands, all those things, vision. The stop-start is what everybody knows. I mean, he could stop-start on a dime, and it was hilarious to watch people run past and just look foolish. But when somebody is different, when the only thing people that have watched a ton of football can do is to giggle. Barry Sanders made us giggle. Like when you watch Barry Sanders in the pros, that's how good Barry Sanders was. In the pros, you'd go, and you just chuckle a little bit because nobody should be able to do that. It's like when you watch Connor McDavid right now, and when you're watching regular season hockey, if you flip around and flip over to Edmonton, you watch him, you're like, well, Jesus, that's embarrassing.
Even last round.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where you're just kind of like, well, that's embarrassing. And these are the best in the world being humiliated.
Right.
That's Peter Warwick would do that all the time, where you just kind of go.
Jameis did that. Dalvin did that.
Oh, well, Dalvin did it a lot. Yeah,
that's the easiest example. Like, for the youngins eventually, because I'm 35 now, I'm going to have lots of youngins saying, so who was the best player you saw in talent? It's Dalvin.
Dalvin was freakishly good.
It just, we went through it together. It was almost like a shared experience and metanoia. When you're like, oh, wait, it's not that everybody sucks at tackling. He's just got a density to him that we can't quantify by looking at him. At Louisville.
The Louisville game off our own 2 or whatever, where he breaks all those tackles and goes 98.
I don't know.
That was the weight game.
That was the weight game. He ended up pulling his hammy later in that game.
That run. He didn't come back.
Yeah.
He had over 100 yards rushing.
No, it was the Louisville game subsequent to that.
Yeah.
It was a noon kick.
Off people. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he's running towards where the band used to be. I know that they switched sides now, but where the band, like the club section.
Yeah. Yeah. We were just chuckling. Like at some point, this isn't bad tackling. He's just strong as hell.
Yeah. I remember it was that Monday. We're like, can we just say that it's not that anymore?
Yeah. Dude's really strong. Yeah, because it looked almost like like when they would screw you in a video game when the computer controlled team is down 20.
God mode.
And then all of a sudden you can't tackle anybody. And you're like, look, I can't tackle this guy now. What are we doing around here?
FCS East is blocking your All-American defensive line for 12 seconds.
You're like, this is ridiculous.
I see.
That's what he did all the time. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV.
Hi, this is Jamie McClenny from Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Managing downside risk in your portfolio is one of the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement. Trillions of dollars in stimulus from the Federal Reserve and D.C. politicians, combined with zero interest rates, have propped up financial markets since the financial crisis ended in 2009. The Fed recently ended quantitative easing and has started to raise interest rates at a time when the global economy was already slowing. Have you considered what another 50% correction in the stock market would do to your retirement plan? If you're concerned about where this all might be headed and would like to find out about the potential benefits of an active risk management strategy for your portfolio, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule a time for a review of your portfolio from an active risk management perspective.
Make Jamie your first call for a second opinion. Investment advisory services are offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
This is Ken Wondergem, owner of Gem Mazda of Tallahassee. Since the new car supply shortage, it's common knowledge that your trade-in is worth $2,000 to $3,000 more. However, other manufacturers' dealers are adding $2,000 to $3,000 to the price of their new cars, so you end up losing your equity. At Gem Mazda of Tallahassee, you'll keep your equity, since we will not mark up the price of the new Mazda you want while still giving you more for your trade. And since we're not marking up our new car prices, our pre-sold list is growing by the day. Reserve your new Mazda today and discover Mazda's award-winning quality and the high level of service and care you'll receive at Gem Mazda, where there's no additional markup on any of our new luxury performance vehicles. Gem Mazda of Tallahassee, where we take our slogan seriously. No games, no gimmicks, just a gem of a deal. and no additional markups. Come see us soon, Capitol Circle Northwest, just up from West Tennessee Street, and always open at gemmazda.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Jeff Cameron Show is sponsored by the legendary team at Hamilton Home Loans. Great rates, cutting-edge technology, and transparent communication is the recipe for a 5-star mortgage experience at FSUHomeLoans.com.
To the program. Didn't mention it earlier. Meant to. He asks this question, so I'll answer it. JCS crew, I missed you on Loosey Goosey Friday. We were on. We just couldn't interact. Jeff was speaking on his Expo hat last week. Just curious, what are your qualifications for a good hat? I need a deep bucket for my big head. You? Much love. Thanks, Marcus. Well, I got a big head too. Smaller than when I had hair, when I had to wear giant hats because I had hair and a big head. Now I just have a big head.
What's your fitted size?
Like 7 3/8 or something like that.
Yeah, we're around the same.
Yeah. But these days they make the flex fit so well. The liner, for example, inside of this cap and many of the caps that they make, is that one that way? I don't think it is. Look inside to see her. But those caps are almost a requirement now for me. I won't buy caps otherwise. And then secondarily, I used to only buy fitted caps, but I don't do that anymore because the fitted caps that I sweat through, for some reason, I don't understand how this works. I've had 2 hats that were golf hats.
Yeah, they shrink on you?
No, they got bigger somehow.
One
of them got bigger. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did.
You must have had a good day.
I don't know.
Feeling good about yourself.
Yeah. So nonetheless, bottom line is they just have to be light, as in like weight. And then of course I like the inside flex. There you go.
Yeah, you can do an adjustable. You wear more adjustable hats than I do.
I used to never wear adjustable, but I do wear more of them now.
Yeah, same. Maybe that's something that comes with age. It's like you're just more okay with it. But yeah, I'm a 7 3/4, 7 5/8 fitted guy. You've got to try those on. Don't order those online.
No, you got to try them on because they all fit differently.
They will, and they'll pinch your temple if it's just wrong, and that'll lead to a headache, and then you start to resent the hat. Can't have that. I like the deep buckets though. I like when the buckets are deeper. I don't like the flat hats that are kind of, just kind of.
I don't either.
They almost don't even look like hats.
I need the curvature. I also don't like the flat bill. Our buddy Bill loves to wear the flat bills. I don't know why.
I curve mine if I get that one, but they've got the low crown fitted hat now too, which gives you more of a curve to the bill.
Mm-hmm.
But it's got to have the deep bucket. That's the one thing, or else if it's too high on the forehead, what's the point?
I do think that. What is this question? Oh, sorry. You're talking about. I just saw where somebody was worried about players that we'd kicked out, wide receiver, all that stuff. Anyhow, back to this. We haven't had the run of receivers that we should. And I think that in the next 5 years, Tom, it's going to change. It's going to change.
You think so?
Well, because I think there's going to be a change.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think they already tried to make a change and it didn't happen.
Don't you worry. Micah Pittman.
I'll tell you what, this better be a year. This better be a year because those receivers are going to need to help this team out. If we're getting to where we got to go, where we have to go, this has to be that kind of year. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with us.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show, live and local on Real Talk 93.3, WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com.
I'm John Scott. 7 states hold primary elections tomorrow with 78 House seats on those ballots.
Voters are headed to the ballot box to set the field for November. Primaries are being held Tuesday in California, Iowa, Mississippi, Montana, New Jersey, New Mexico, and South Dakota. Primary season is shaping up to be a challenging one for House Democrats, with midterm elections typically punishing the party holding the White House. North of Los Angeles, 3 Democrats are vying to take on freshman House member Mike Garcia, a former Navy pilot endorsed by President Trump, whose district was redrawn with a more Democratic profile. In Iowa, 3 Republicans are competing to run against Cindy Axne, Iowa's lone U.S. House Democrat. Her Des Moines district was redrawn to include rural southern counties that have been strongly Republican. I'm Jennifer King.
Also at townhall.com, Army General Mark Milley, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, says the United States and allied countries will keep providing significant support to Ukraine out of respect for the legacy of D-Day soldiers. Milley said Russia's war on Ukraine undermines the rules established by allied countries to guarantee peace after the end of World War II. He spoke in Normandy on the 78th anniversary of the D-Day invasion. Britain's governing Conservatives are holding a no-confidence vote that could oust Prime Minister Boris Johnson.
The vote comes after months of growing discontent with a divisive politician whose career has survived multiple ups and downs. If Johnson loses the vote among the 359 Conservative lawmakers, the party will choose a new leader who will also become Prime Minister. If Johnson wins, he can't face another challenge for a year under current party rules. Charles de Ledesma, London.
On Wall Street, the Dow had 118 points, the NASDAQ up 118. More at townhall.com.
Where are your family's old film reels, videotapes, and photos? Are they sitting in dusty shoeboxes and neglected bins at risk of completely fading away? Digitizing your aging media with Legacy Box is the safe and easy way to preserve and pass down your family's legacy. Simply send your Legacy Box kit filled with old home movies and pictures. Legacy Box does the rest, converting your moments to DVD or digital. Legacy Box has been trusted by over 1 million families and has over 10,000 five-star reviews. Be your family's hero. Unlock the memories trapped on VHS, camcorder tapes, and 8mm reels. Experience the joy and excitement of rewatching your wedding day, baby's first steps, and Christmas mornings. Feel relief knowing all those cherished moments are safe from fires and water damage. The Legacy Box Father's Day event is happening now. Go to legacybox.com/lbox to save 50%. Legacy Box is great for your family or as a gift for dad. That's legacybox.com/lbox for 50% off. legacybox.com/lbox.
Physical stress on our bodies can take its toll as the years go by. Whether you're looking to get back into an old sport or just want to spend more time outdoors to explore all life has to offer in our beautiful city, the dedicated team at TOC is here for you every step of the way. You can trust TOC for all your orthopedic needs. And now, scheduling an appointment has never been easier. Just visit teamtoc.com and click schedule online. That's teamtoc.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
and really just not look like a team that had the ability to do anything more than they did, which is to get beat pretty early in the process of postseason play, and to leave you scratching your head as to how far this prestigious program has truly fallen, because it was an annual expectation that the team would be, at the very least, talented enough, good enough, elite enough in the realm of college baseball that they would likely be hosting, and that they would be putting themselves in a position to utilize immense talent across the board to get out to Omaha, where they hope to cash in and win that elusive national championship. And of course, that hasn't happened. And the feeling that you're getting further and further away, you're further and further removed from that expectation being realistic, further and further removed from that being the standard. Now, that is the standard, and that is unwaveringly the standard. And Mike Martin Jr., the head coach at Florida State University, would tell you that that is true, that that is always going to be the standard, and they don't shy away from that. And I do credit them for that. I do like that they've never tried to hide behind their successes, because I don't think anybody should. But it doesn't change the fact that they don't look or resemble anything of those teams that we expected that from. They don't look like those teams at all. And they haven't for the last several years. And you see it in the way that they don't pick up the baseball. You see it in the way that they run the bases, which is as poorly as any program of this stature I've ever seen. It's remarkable to watch us run the bases, completely lost. Get picked off inexplicably at the worst possible times for a program that just doesn't have the margin for error that they once did. You know, in the past, and this is true of all elite programs and elite teams of any sport, you know, you can commit 14 penalties in a football game if your team is the bigger, stronger, faster team, and down to down, you're winning. You can overcome the negative leverage you put yourself in or you give to the other team when you're the better team. But Florida State is frequently on the diamond these days, not the better team. Not the better team. And yet they do a lot to not improve their circumstances, but rather make them that much more difficult to overcome. Giving away outs while also providing extras for those that you are competing with is a problem. We don't pick it up, and we give it away. We don't hit the ball out of the ballpark with any regularity, meaning the team is lacking real power, and they don't make up for it by getting on base and putting pressure in that capacity. But instead, they strike out a ton. They don't walk, they don't hit for power, and they don't get on base. That's a tough way to win a baseball game. Oh, but Jeff, they'll make up for it with starting pitching. We thought at the beginning of the season that perhaps there was enough frontline elite starting pitching that could be the saving grace. And for a lot of the year, frankly, it was. Your Friday, Saturday night combo for much of this season was pretty damn good. At times, even elite. But it began to falter late as well, and could not really be depended upon in the postseason. Didn't feel like it anyhow. And at the end of the day, that turned out to be true. You got something from Parker Messick that you thought you might get, right? A gutsy, what-for effort on the road, put you in a position to win a baseball game. He's that guy, and we're going to miss him, and he has a whole lot of intestinal fortitude. Hubbard was going south for much of the second half of the season, seemed less and less comfortable on the hill the longer the year went on. All of the mannerisms, the fidgety sort of I can't get right here was on display, and then some. And he was really not dependable anymore. And I feel like you found some inconsistency out of the bullpen as well. So a frustrating season ends unceremoniously, and it leaves us all asking the same question: where do they go from here? Now, to answer your questions, no, I don't think Mike Martin Jr. is going to be fired. I don't think Mike Alford's going to fire Mike Martin Jr. right now. I do think the season that they just had and the one before it is leading us down the path to saying, and I think fairly, that next year is a vitally important season for Mike Martin Jr. I don't think you could argue that he's likely on a pretty warm seat going into next season. This is not it here. This is not what the standard is. Florida State just narrowly making the postseason and unceremoniously dumped in the first regional is it. By the way, this is what we consistently do now. This is not Florida State's standard. So at some point, it always falls at the feet of the coach. And I remember for so long, as hard as it was to say, at some point, I stopped blaming Jeff Bowden and said, well, this is Bobby's fault. He hired Jeff Bowden. And I'm not saying Mike Martin Jr. is akin to Jeff Bowden. He's not. Our fan base likes to point to that and say that it is. It's not. One was very qualified, the other not so much. But the point would be, at some point you go, well, that's the head coach, man. And everything always falls at the head coach's feet.
Yeah, it's funny, a couple of things. Number one, base running errors on the level that we have them.
It's staggering.
Are never not stunning in the moment. They're never not stunning. Like,
Yeah.
I can never be numb to that because you just don't expect it. It would be like a quarterback just dropping the football once a game. And you'd never get used to it. But that's how egregious some of these mistakes
I got
are.
to tell you, Tom, we slightly disagree here. I do expect it. It's odd. Like when I'm watching them and a guy gets picked off, yeah, I get mad, but I'm not stunned.
No, well, then I'm wording it poorly. I don't mean that I'm stunned each time. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
I expect it to happen. I expect it to happen once or twice a game. But when it does,
think about what you just said out loud.
Oh, I know it. But when it does, I'm always aghast. I'm always like, oh my God.
You did it again. You did not learn from the last base running blunder 2 innings ago.
Like, I'm aware that it's going to happen, but it's always a new and special way. Like on Saturday, a ball 4. You throw behind the runner at second on a ball 4, and he's halfway between second and third, looking stunned at himself, Terrell. Like, I'm like, well, why am I here? It's like, yeah, why are you there?
Why are you there,
This is unbelievable. Now, at that point, the game was pretty much going the way it was going to go, but that shouldn't matter. The one very concerning thing I'd say about the assessment of this group and the lack of connection between whatever's going on in the coaches' offices and the clubhouse itself is the Sunday presser after the Miami series, in which Meade says on the dais, I think we're doing enough that we'll see these great fans here in Tallahassee again. And I know you get walked off in back-to-back games after that. So they're close. You're playing them close. But then you get destroyed by Carolina on Friday and Saturday in that final weekend series. So the response to, I think we've turned a corner, is 0-4 with 2 awful losses to cap off the 0-4. That is alarming to me because that means that maybe the pulse really isn't in the coaches' offices, and that's got to change. You got to know what you're dealing with.
I do think, and I'll go back to this because I think it's worth highlighting. Last hour, when I began the show with my assessment of where we're at with Florida State baseball and my concerns and the frustration that we all feel and what I think, it's going to look like moving forward, et cetera. One of the things that I talked about was, they hold themselves to a very high standard. And Mike Martin Jr., to his credit, agrees with the standard and doesn't run from it and is not trying to shirk responsibility. He'll say, as he did at the dais after this game, that it's on me. And I appreciate that. I mean, I think all coaches should do that, but they don't all do that. So I appreciate that he did that. But he did say something else that I thought was interesting, and this speaks to a soul searching that no doubt he has to be doing. He and his staff have to be doing. And I wouldn't be surprised, and I don't know this, and I want to make this abundantly clear. This is not inside information. This is not a conversation that I've had with anybody over there, okay? But I wouldn't be surprised to see some changes within the staff. That would be a guess of mine. I don't know that to be the case. Again, I want to reiterate, this is just me speculating. I am speculating out loud. But when he said, his coaches, I'm never going to roll a player. I'm never going to roll a player. And he was asked, how do you get better at, running the bases and certain fundamental things? And I'm kind of paraphrasing here. And he's like, well, you go over something once and twice, 3 times. And if it doesn't get better, that's on me. That's on us as coaches. You think you've gone over it, but clearly it's not working. Man, that ain't good. I mean, that's a guy thinking out loud about what do I have to do? What am I not doing? Because it is clearly not working. Like, I don't doubt him when he says they've gone over this time and again. But what I would say that there is clear evidence of, whatever instruction you're imparting to these players about the hows and whys of base running, is not taking hold. It's not working. And you do have to ask yourself then, as a coach or anybody in any field, any line of work, if you've got an employee, we've been in management, we've had these situations where somebody makes the same mistake over and over again, and you're tasked with teaching them not to make that mistake and to provide for them not only the examples, but the know-how and the reminders of what to do and what not to do. And it's not working. At some point, you look back at yourself before you tell them that they can take it on down the road, because you have to ask yourself, am I doing everything? How am I not connecting? Why am I not connecting? What is it I'm not doing right that this person, who I don't think is dumb, is not doing what I'm asking of them? Now, sometimes you do come to the conclusion that they're dumb, but the point is, you do look inward. And I thought I saw a guy looking inward right there. A guy kind of,
man, they don't respond to him. You could say it.
It doesn't appear so. It does not appear so. I mean, that is evident, right? So you would want to know what that's about. Listen, we use this example a lot because I do think it's admirable. And I also think it's very rare. But Brian Kelly, the guy that was this close to being fired at Notre Dame after a disastrous season, recognized after said disastrous season, I'm doing a whole lot of things wrong here. And in that exit interview, through this is well documented article that was written, I think it was in The Athletic, might have been in Sports Illustrated, I can't remember which now because it's like 6 years ago, but the point is, in the exit interview, he took serious what the players had to say to him and made changes, but not just with his coaching staff, but to himself. And we read all the stuff about he changed his diet, he started spending more time in the cafeteria with his players for breakfast every morning, he did yoga, he did all this stuff, right, to try to connect. And not only connect with players, connect with himself, and figure out a better way, a different way, a more efficient, effective way of not only teaching what it is he wanted, but connecting to players so that they would. I would think if you're Mike Martin Jr., and I don't know, I'm not in that clubhouse today. I'm not there. But clearly something's not connecting. So I would think that sort of soul-searching look in the mirror, which he's not adverse to, would be something you'd want to engage in. You'd want to say, because do you think it's as simple? I'm just asking a question out loud here. Do you think it's as simple as you just need to get better players? They got to get better players, and there's one out there. There's a big fish out there that they could get. But when you're talking about base running mistakes, this isn't about prowess. This isn't about, baseball prowess. There's something else going on there.
No, it's not just that simple, because you've got good players. You got a right fielder overrunning a ground ball to the outfield. You got terrible angles being taken. You got a shortstop cutting off a second baseman because they don't trust the second baseman to make a simple throw.
Well, because he can't.
Right. But that's the only guy that can roll out there. Okay. So, you've got all these fundamental issues. You've got a catcher who had a really hard time stopping baseballs from going to the backstop for long stretches of the season. Right. And a backup that hit 6 home runs and limited at bats. If it's going to be bad defense, I get it. You might be able to throw a runner out at second once in a while. Maybe he manages the game better, but you still call it electronically anyway. There's just all of these fundamental issues. And then there are good players who are making mistakes that look like they're playing with fear, or they're timid, or they're thinking. Your job is to have them not think when they're out there, and they're thinking all over the place, overthinking. And that's the hard part here, is watching that group, especially on Saturday. And that was tough to watch. But you're seeing how they're responding. There were a couple of kids that came off the bench or out of the pen that didn't have a whole lot of run for the season, and they cared to be out there. Scalaro certainly did yesterday because he knew that might be his last appearance.
He pitched great.
Yeah, he did.
He pitched great.
He did.
You wonder why I didn't start him as the third starter?
Oh, yes.
Anyhow.
For months. Only been saying that for months.
Yeah.
But this is a group, when he took over, that we thought was going to play like Messick pitches, which is with bravado.
And early in the season against outmanned opponents, they did indeed.
At times, yeah. The Cal series was a good example.
Yeah.
That was what we thought was coming, which was a full houser. People just, there was good baseball being played. I know that Cal wasn't great, but that was good competitive baseball. And you had the juices flowing as a fan because you saw it on the field. Well, where is that now? Where is the looseness in this team? They haven't played loose in months.
But in addition to that, and maybe the two are connected, but in addition to not playing loose, they haven't played well. You can be loose and play poorly, or you can be uptight and play well. And,
right.
It's kind of, you see a lot of machinations in a baseball game with a baseball team over the course of a long season and, trying to get a feel for where they are in any given time. But in the second half of this season, there was a whole lot of disconnect in a lot of areas.
Yeah, months isn't fair. It's weeks. I mean, they play well against their rivals. They get up for those. The Miami series was a good one. And that's the last time we saw the Ross Dunn that we were hoping we'd see. But I also go back to one of my favorite games of the year, which is the Tuesday against Florida. It's a Scalaro start. I know he only goes, it might have been 3. But that was an energized crowd. That was a group of players that looked like they were all in it as one. And they were rooting for each other. They were pulling for each other. They were all fired up for every single play that was made. And then you flash forward to go into the Auburn regional and it gets to a 2 or 3 run game and they look like they're done. We had no problem on the mound getting to 2 strikes, couldn't get the final pitch. You couldn't bury one in the dirt to go get a swing and a miss. I mean, it's just all of these things. It was an avalanche. I've never seen FSU baseball look like Ohio State baseball did when I was a student coming to Tallahassee in a regional. And that's what that looked like.
Yeah.
That was the same thing. There were people leaving left and right. I was like, well, yeah, I would too. This game's over. Auburn fans saying, we'll be back tomorrow. And they were right to do it.
Oh, sure they were. And FSU should not find themselves in that position. Now, one-offs happen. Weird things happen in games. And there were a lot of games in this postseason so far in which 20-something runs were dropped on an opponent. It has happened. You do get to a time of year, not to excuse it away. It shouldn't happen to Florida State, but it does occasionally happen. And that's where I thought Corey was right in his article to say, you know what? This isn't about the one game. It's not about the embarrassment of a game. It is about what do you think of Florida State baseball? And to me, what we think about Florida State baseball right now is less than. And that is really troubling because that ought never be the case. You may have postseason failures and postseason successes, but the overall feeling and assessment of the program right now is pretty damn low. And you might have, for example, softball choked. They did. They choked. You can't be that team with that many wins at home against a 25-loss Mississippi State team who summarily got bounced in the next, all right, and lose and not call that anything but a choke. But guess what? We feel good about softball. We just gave Lonnie an extension and a raise. That's good news, and it's deserved. She deserves that. The program is great. They had a bad weekend. It's a tough time to have it. Sucks. Makes you frustrated.
Right.
But you still feel good about where the program is at, where it's going, because they've given you reason to feel that way.
2018, yes, they did.
So my point would be, we don't feel that same way about the Florida State baseball program. And I'm not even saying that you ought to think about the baseball program year in and year out as a team that is going to play for a national championship. Be nice. But the idea that you're going to host a regional shouldn't be crazy. The idea that you're not barely getting into the postseason isn't crazy. The idea that you're one of the best teams in the ACC isn't crazy. Not ninth, but one of the best teams in the ACC. That your team is, in all likelihood, going to host, probably give themselves a real good chance in a series to get back to Omaha and make a run at it. Like, that all seems like they're not even close to that right now. Doesn't feel like they're even close to that.
No, and even when they are, they're barely a blip on the Nole fans' radar in the country. Right now, it's not even a talking point. If I get a text about us, it's because of the score that's happening on Saturday. And a couple of my buddies sent me the tweets. They're like, "Is that really happening?" And I sent them a photo of the first baseline. Like, yeah, I'm here. Oh, it's happening, buddy.
So very big difference in the attitude and the mindset and the belief in and the overriding sense of where Florida State baseball is going over the last several years. And that's frustrating. It's not all on Junior, but ultimately when you're the coach, you have to shoulder the blame and you have to figure out why this does not seem to be an upwardly mobile program. That it doesn't. And that you've got to get that figured out. And, I think it's fair at some point to say that how long do you get? Now, he'll get another year. He should, in my opinion. But I would dare say that if they're terrible again next year, or they look like a team that doesn't have much of a chance to do all of the aforementioned things I just referenced, yeah, people are going to call for his job. There are already people calling for his job, but it'll be real loud next year.
Yeah, it's not all on him. You're seeing a lot of good young players still coming here, and hopefully that trend continues, even though if I'm a 17-year-old looking at Florida State right now, I might not look at it the same. But let's just say that you had a vendor that was coming to service your lawn, and for 3 months straight, and that's 6 appointments, they're coming to the house, there's a 15 by 15 patch of grass right in front of your door that hasn't been cut. Like, there's all this other stuff that's been cut.
I'm beginning to think that Ted doesn't know what he's doing.
And then you've got just a 15 by 15 box of fescue, and
this is ridiculous. Ted,
right.
You missed it again.
That is base running here.
Yeah.
That is defense here.
Well,
is the 15 by 15 right in front of your front door. That when you open the door, that's all you see. The rest of the lawn looks okay, but there that is. It's this big thing that's in front of you.
No,
and are you going to say something about it or not? That's where the athletic department is at this point, I think.
It's always odd too when something like that rears its ugly head. It takes on a life of its own, and then all of a sudden, if you don't have a season to break the trend, it can be a weight. It's an albatross around your neck as you go to take the field. This has been a program over the years that has had too many albatrosses where you're like, oh, man. And some of them you can't undo. That the weight of not having won the national title, you can't undo that until you win one. That's just the way that's going to be. That's like the Red Sox and the Cubs having to break the curse.
Wayne, you got to cut the grass right there, man. What are we doing, Wayne?
It's not Ted. You're right. It's Wayne. Wayne, can I talk to you for a second?
Yeah. What's up?
So have you noticed that most of this lawn looks great? Most of it. And I do think we had this conversation a couple weeks back. Did we not, Wayne? We had a conversation about you overlooking a couple of things. Wayne, what is this? What are we doing here? Are you did you put down chemicals that you need to wait? I mean, what's happening here, Wayne?
Going for something artistic?
Yeah. Why would you not cut this patch of grass each and every time you come to my house? Do you think this is funny? Are you guys giggling? Like, what's going on here? Chappelle, Warchant.com, set to join us next. Stay tuned.
Your body is a masterpiece designed to heal itself from within. Learn how to maximize your health by tuning in to Phenomenal Health with me, Dr. Ryan Finn. Saturdays at 2:30. Experience true health today and call Finn Chiropractic at 386-7700.
Hey, this is Dustin Rivest. During the pandemic, I noticed restaurants struggling with online ordering and watched as all the major third parties took advantage of our local restaurants and thought there must be a better way, which is why I created foodiestakeout.com. The unique thing about Foodies Takeout is that restaurants keep 100% of their order revenue versus splitting upwards of 30% with the third parties like Uber Eats and Bite Squad. At Foodies Takeout, you can find some of your favorite restaurants, such as Jerry's Midtown Cafe, Miss D's Kitchen in Frenchtown, Casa Grande, and even El Jalisco. Or if you're on the north side of town, check out Horizons Bar and Grill. Why not give us a try? Head to foodiestakeout.com or text foodies to 230-9456, and I'll even give you 10% off your first meal. Supporting local restaurants has never been easier. Visit foodiestakeout.com.
Every day, Sellers makes life a little better for homeowners, helping them find the best design ideas for their homes with the best quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Even mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions are at their fingertips in their remarkable showroom. Maybe it's time for you to get the Sellers advantage for your home or office. Find them on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com. For style, quality, and design, get the Sellers advantage. In Tallahassee, call 656-8453.
Hi, I'm Stephanie. Some people call me Paul because I work at Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Everyone that works here will proudly answer to the name Paul. One of the things I love about my job is that I get to help people fix their problems every day. If you have pests in your home and you're like 99.9% of the people I deal with, you want them gone, not tomorrow, but right now. It always puts a smile on my face to hear the reaction of a customer when I tell them we'll have someone out there in a couple of hours. At Paul's, I get the privilege of making your environment safer and more healthy for your family and pets. And because Paul's provides a same-day service guarantee with minimal wait, we get to begin the process right after I receive the call.
If you live in Leon County and call us by noon, Paul's Pest Control will be out by 5, guaranteed. We're a local company, and it's our mission to help keep Tallahassee area customers comfortable and free from the problems that pests bring. And we do so with treatments that are friendly to our environment for the elimination of termites and any other pests.
And a greener lawn, too. Call Paul's. We'll get them all.
Taste Buds Radio. Welcome back to Taste Buds Radio. Slow food done fast. Let's go to the phone.
Hi, Taste Buds. I've got no time to make dinner, but I don't want to bring home another bag of droopy burgers. Got anything for me?
Don't worry, the Taste Buds have got you covered. Go to our website, tastebuds.net. That's Taste Buds with a Z. And check out our daily specials. You can order food for the entire week. Take it home when you're ready, heat it up, and you're feeding your family slow food fast.
That's awesome. Thanks, Taste Buds.
Let's take another call.
Hey, y'all got any of them there gift certificates?
Of course. You can purchase in store or on our website at tastebuds.net. That's Taste Buds with a Z. And they're available in any amount.
Well, all right.
Thanks, Taste Buds. Taste Buds, a part of your balanced peace of mind.
Taste Buds Radio.
TasteBuds.net.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Wednesday and Thursday, actually. Got a busy week planned with my friends at Orange Theory Fitness. First class, always free. So if you want to learn more about it, and I think that's true with a lot of people, they don't know what to expect. Get that first class for free. I think you'll walk away really pleased. First of all, you'll learn that the coaching there is exceptional, and everything is, again, science-based. So this isn't a guess. You're gonna see what interval training is all about. You're gonna see how it affects you and how best to find your physical fitness. So, and also the first month is free if you get a heart rate monitor, which is a good thing too. So Orange Theory Fitness, if you're getting yourself geared up for summer, check them out. 2 locations here in Tallahassee. He's my boy, Rashfell. Warchant.com joins us right now. Hello, good sir. How are you?
I'm good. I'm even better after that intro music. Well done, Tom Lang.
Yeah. Grabbing the psychedelic furs is always the right choice.
Can't go wrong with the furs. Yeah.
No, you can't. I've seen them twice. And by the way, Ira, the album that came out a year ago is surprisingly really, really good. So you should look it up. That said, by the way, we also got good news on the basketball front, and I wanted to start there because I've talked an awful lot about this terrible baseball team. Let's start with Baba Miller. All right, look, I can read 6'11", 7'2" wingspan, us versus Gonzaga. We went out. Obviously, any kind of a prospect that is deciding between us and Gonzaga is well thought of. That's really good news for a program that I think needed really good news. What else can you add to what we know about that young man and what they expect him to do from day one?
Yeah, just from from, as you said, I mean, he kind of seems to fit perfectly from a length and skill ability. And then you add in the fact that, they desperately needed to, replace some of the firepower that they're losing. And, John Butler decides last week to stay in the NBA draft, which wasn't a big surprise, but he was a guy that they really had high hopes for. And so I think Baba Miller, from everything I've heard, is much more advanced than John Butler was, and is a guy who can step in, immediately and be a high-level ACC player. So I think they're super excited about him. I know that they have been working on this for a long time. His name, he's from Spain, and he wasn't really in a lot of media attention to his recruitment until the last few weeks. But from what I understand, they've been working on it for a long time, and they're very excited. He's a guy that they think could be a really special player.
Yeah, I'm excited too, because I think you're right. They definitely needed to replace some firepower, and they needed a shot in the arm, I felt like. And this is a guy that a lot of people wanted. So for Ham to get him at a time where we've seen a couple of assistants move on, that's a real good sign from a recruiting standpoint that, they've done a good job. But this is the guy that kind of becomes the star of the class, if you will, because now all of a sudden that's kind of a big name.
Yeah, and he's and again the fit and kind of goes to the proof of concept. I don't think there's any chance they get Baba Miller to come to Florida State if it's not for what Scotty Barnes did and what Patrick Williams did and what Florida State has done with these long, athletic 6'8", 6'10", 6'11" guys that can play in the backcourt, or John Butler even last year. That there's a willingness to play those guys away from the basket and let them play the way that they're going to play in the NBA. And Florida State was a very attractive option to him because of that.
That's the good news. Also, by the way, did you know, Ira, Ray Allen's here? He is. I'm just telling you, he's here. I'm like a little kid last night looking at Ray Allen at Leonard's basketball camp, and my son was too. I don't know why that makes me giddy, but it does, and I just thought I'd share that with you.
Appreciate it.
All right, it's your turn to weigh in on baseball. I think I've said about what there is to say with this program. It's not upwardly mobile right now. It feels pretty ugly. What was your assessment of the weekend? Pretty much, a ditto.
Yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can say about how they played. I mean, they played terribly for almost, most of that 3 games. They played okay in the UCLA game, even though I thought that was a little bit of fool's gold. I didn't think Florida State was even the better team in that game on that day. I think some things kind of worked out for them. But then, the debacle against Auburn and then just being so meek at the plate yesterday was, not totally unexpected. This is a team that hasn't hit all year. But when you see it on that stage where everything's magnified and, the base running mistakes and all the defensive mistakes, it's just, it's ugly. I mean, this doesn't look like what Florida State baseball is supposed to look like. Whether or not Mike Martin Jr. can fix it, I guess, we'll see. And I assume he'll have the opportunity to try to do it. But this, the program's just not anywhere close to where it needs to be. And ultimately it's his job to do that.
I thought he looked like a guy that was his head was swimming in the post-game presser. I brought it up earlier in the show. A guy that he knows better than anybody the history of this program. Obviously, his dad built it. Now, there have been other legendary figures in Florida State baseball. I understand that, Dick Hauser being chief amongst them. But he knows what it means to wear that jersey. He was an all-world player here, and he's coached here, and he knows what the standard is. He makes reference to it all the time. There's just no way you could sit up there after watching that on the heels of last year as well and not think to yourself, man, this is not it. Like, what do you think changes, if anything? I theorize that there'll be some changes on this staff, but I don't know that. That's just my speculation. Do you agree, or do you think that they'll keep it the same and come back and just try to increase the number of players that they have here that could be difference makers?
Well, the tough situation here is, and I agree with you in general. Like, if I didn't know anything about the situation, and if I just said, okay, you got a coach after 2 years, pretty disappointing. I mean, yes, they made the NCAA tournament, but that's not the standard, as he even said. So you're not meeting expectations. You're not where you need to be. What are you going to do about it? Because that's the conversation, I think, if you're Michael Alford, that's the conversation you're having with Mike Martin Jr. is, okay, what are you doing about this? And the obvious answer from the outside would be, okay, I'm going to make some changes on my staff. The problem is, I mean, the pitching staff was the strength of your team. It wasn't as good as you thought it was going to be. I mean, before the season, they thought it was the best staff in America. It clearly wasn't that, but they thought that was the strength of the team, and it probably was the strength of the team overall. So I don't know you make a change there. And then, I think Mike Metcalf, who's the recruiting coordinator, does not have the responsibility of running the offense. That's Mike Martin Jr.'s business. And Mike Metcalf has, gotten them a lot of good players. I mean, some of the best players on this team were some of those younger guys that I think he's been real active with. So I don't know what change you would make on the staff. But that's obviously the first step, because it does feel like, to me, and whether or not it's Mike Martin Jr.'s approach or whether it's chemistry on the team, whatever it is, when you watch this team play, there's just not an overall feeling like they're doing everything they can to give themselves chances to win, for the players and the coaches. It's just almost like when they win, sometimes it feels like they're winning in spite of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to take a lot of reflection. I think on the coaching staff and probably on the players, but ultimately on the coaching staff, they're the ones that get paid.
Brother, be well. I will see you tomorrow. Take care.
Thanks, Jeff. See you.
Yep, that's Ira Chaffel, Warchant.com. Yeah, I think we're all coming to that conclusion too. It's disappointing too. As fire and brimstone as it may sound when we're picking apart the foibles and the frailties of this team, there's the other side of this. It's incredibly disappointing. Like, emotionally, this is disappointing to see, because Florida State baseball has been something that, as Noles, again, this is where I am biased. We've just always been able to count on it, and I've always understood that kind of, all right, well, there'll be the occasional blip on the radar. There's going to be years where you're not as good as others, and maybe certain teams aren't going to be equipped to maybe make a deep run. And anytime you have to go through one of those kinds of years, you're well aware that it takes a long time, right? It's like having a disappointing football season come to a conclusion. You're like, oh man, I got to go through this entire off season to get this taste out of my mouth. I got to go through we got to go back and relitigate 5 and 7 over and over and over again, and the ways in which things are going to be different next year. You can only do that so much. Now you can dive deep, and deep dive we do, right? That's exactly how it works in the postseason. It's sort of the, in the aftermath, I should say, it's sort of they were bad here specifically. They were bad at this. They need to get better at this. Okay, this player is going to help them do that. Yeah, we do all those things, and it's right to do that because you want to vet that thoroughly and try to kind of come to a conclusion that either it will or it will not be better going into the next season. But with Florida State baseball, when you can't rely on a certain standard right now of excellent play, and not just a season that ended prematurely, but that the faults of this program and this team right now don't give you much hope for the future, that's a different offseason.
It is, and I think sometimes with this particular sport, we do the thing that we do with football, which is we get out over our skis. And we live in the 80s, late 80s through about 2000. And the success is there. Because if you look at College World Series appearances since the year 2000, it's 2008, 10, 12, 17, and 19. That's it. 5 times since the new century, since the new millennium that we've made the College World Series. We're in 2022. 5 out of 22? Come on now. That, now if you go back to 86 through 2000, it's almost every year. It's almost every year.
I would also note, and this is a fact, there is much more competitive balance in college baseball now than there was then.
Yeah.
That's just true.
We should have been in a position to be at the forefront of whatever storm comes, and now we're way behind.
Yeah. Now, not only are we way behind, the conference as a whole is way behind. It's not lost on me that Miami was also unceremoniously bounced from their own regional, which, what a shame. But nonetheless, that did happen. I feel like the ACC is, there are obviously very good programs here. Notre Dame and North Carolina. And listen, we ought to be one of them. I agree with you. But there is much greater competitive balance in college baseball than there was for many of the years that you're alluding to as the glory years.
Yeah, that's fair. And you could say, okay, well, is the standard getting to Omaha?
I think they're always going to make that the goal. That's always going to be the standard.
So that sounds more like an aspiration than a standard at this point.
And it's more and more of an aspiration than a standard, as you correctly point out, over the last 22 years.
And then if you want to talk about the standard being make it out of regionals, now that if you look in the last 20 years, that happens almost every year until recently.
And that's why we say, where are we going?
Right.
And that's really why you have this crisis, right? Because now you're saying, wait a minute. And this is the way I began the show. I don't think we look at somewhere around the halfway point of this season when it became evident this team was not going to be what we had hoped it would be. And that things weren't better in specific areas that needed to be better. In particular, defense, running the bases. Things we talked about before the season began. Not as it played out, not as we played results, but before the season began, we talked about being much better defensively because it's been too long and being much better on the base path. Neither turned out to be better. Neither turned out to be a strength of the team, not even close to it. Then the result happens. So not only do things not get better, but you're also not getting out of a regional, not even getting to a super regional, and really not even close to getting a super regional. And now you're concerned that not only is it unrealistic to expect to get to the College World Series, which we used to think is the standard here and should be the standard. Now it's almost unrealistic to expect that you're going to, should we not go into seasons anymore expecting to host a regional? Should we not go into seasons anymore expecting to get out of a regional?
It's getting there. If it's not already, it's getting there. Now we're scheduling tougher, and I thought that would have prepared us for the challenge of this past weekend a little bit better, but it didn't. And the thing that I'm doing more, of late, and by of late, I mean the last 5 years, is we're getting to May 1st, May 15th. And I'm doing math on how is it that we can be a top 16 national seed. Not, we're a top 16. How do we get a top 8? It's slid. I mean, there's just no doubt that it's slid. There were years, and they had a nice little blip on the radar about 3-4 years ago. But before that, remember, we go down to Gainesville for a super, and you're hoping the talk on the show, this show was baseball needs to be baseball for us to survive this. And then that day, that was game 2. Carlton throws the complete game. That was one of the best postseason performances I'd seen in a long time.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
But that was it. That's all you had. You needed luck beyond that. And I feel like we've been talking about needing luck to be on our side.
Yeah,
now
bounces and things to happen.
Since I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
I'm 35 now, man.
Top of the 6th, Florida 2, Oklahoma 1. That game obviously is an elimination game. Coastal Carolina leads East Carolina. This would be an upset, 4-2 in the 5th, and Louisville leads Michigan 7-3. That is in the 3rd. Is that correct? We have all these games right. Double check some of these.
Forgive me, I'm not staying up to date on my D1Baseball.com right now.
Well, I just pulled up the NCAA's one, and I remember there were some delays and some weather issues, and I don't know if they're correctly noting any carryover. So I forgive me there. I'm just looking up at scores.
I just got to tell you, if we were in the situation that UCLA was in, I know that there could be a miracle comeback, but how about that? It's delayed last night. Didn't leave Auburn until this morning, but it's delayed last night. It's supposed to be a 6 o'clock Central first pitch. They have to suspend the game at 11:45 p.m. Central, 12:45 Eastern time in the 6th inning, and UCLA is down 6-0. So you got to sleep on that and wait on that the next day?
Yeah, come back for it. Yeah, that'll hurt your feelings. Yeah, I think we've got it right. I'll double check those scores in a moment, but we'll come back. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The Tallahassee Police Department is investigating after a body was found inside a home on Wesley Drive Friday afternoon. The body was so badly decomposed that it would have to be sent to the crime lab for identification through DNA analysis. The home once belonged to Avis Anderson, who was last seen in the fall of 2020. However, it had recently sold at auction and was in the process of being cleaned out. A partially filled junk debris removal truck was surrounded by crime scene tape as investigators worked the scene. Avis is a FAMU grad who had retired from the Florida Department of Revenue. A family member said she had been struggling before she disappeared. Neighbors and family members of Anderson said cadaver dogs had been brought in at some point after her disappearance to search the home. It has not been confirmed if the remains belong to Anderson. Police have not said whether foul play is suspected, nor how the body was found. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MaclemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. A mix of clouds and sun this afternoon with scattered thunderstorms likely. Daytime highs approaching 89. Southeast winds around 5 miles per hour. Scattered thunderstorms likely tonight. Lows around 69. Partly cloudy skies. Slight chance for scattered thunderstorms again tomorrow. Highs level off around 92. Mainly sunny skies and calm. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 85.
Where is the best place to find Michelin, Firestone, Dunlop, Goodyear, and Bridgestone tires? Nice Tire and Auto Service. Where's the best full-service auto center? Nice Tire and Auto Service. They do everything from computerized alignments to brakes, tune-ups, and safety inspections. Where can you get complete auto service you can trust? That's easy. Nice Tire and Auto Service. 4792 Bluntstown Highway, just west of Capitol Circle.
Well. Hey, Jeff, look at this place.
Yeah. Well, doing well. It's been a while since I've seen you, brother, but, it hasn't been a while since I've been over to Gordo's. I go there on the regular because of you, Eddie.
Well, we keep you regular.
Well, that's true, but I think of Gordo's as a place to sit down, have a cold beer, talk to your friends, enjoy the sports, eat the delicious food. But I think of you as Uncle Eddie, a man who takes care of his people and takes care of the town.
I appreciate that, Jeff. Hey, and we'll keep you regular.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
We need to have history. We need to have literature. It deserves an explanation. We don't need to be promoting lifestyles that come into play for your average elementary school.
Well, I had an experience with this. When my daughter was in school, her teacher gave her a book to read, but then she asked me what the C word is.
That was in the book.
That was in the book.
Okay, so about the C word. So you're talking about conservatives, right?
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
clean result.
Would we have been in that half? I can't even bring myself to look at the bracket and see what if. That one hurt.
You can look it up. I don't know. I agree with you. I stopped paying attention once we lost.
As the same thing I do with, there are some sports it doesn't matter. To a degree, the NCAA basketball tournament, to a degree, I will still watch. But with baseball and softball, I mean, I might watch the best of three. I'll come back around for the best of three. But before that, it's just too difficult. It hurts.
It's interesting. By the way, that's 9-0 Auburn and UCLA, and it's suspended again.
Oh, man.
No, that can't be right.
Or is that the score what it was last night?
Maybe that's what it was last night. Yeah, I'm pulling up scores now.
Like if you're UCLA, oh, great. Let's get them tomorrow. Let's play at 10 a.m. local. No, how about 2 p.m. Central? Oh, that's fine. We'll just wait around the hotel all day. No big deal.
So I'm pulling back up these scores. I was right. The Florida-Oklahoma game is ongoing. It's on television right now. Top of the 6th, Florida 2, Oklahoma 1. And there are delays in the Louisville-Michigan game in which it's 7-3 Louisville. There is a delay in the Arizona-Ole Miss game. Of course, we know Miami was eliminated. Just want to point that out again. Eliminated from their home regional. That's just a statement of fact. And then a ton of baseball to be played tonight. For example, you can watch North Carolina, if you were so inclined, against VCU on the ACC network, Tom.
Oh, thank God for that channel. You know what gets me over a disappointing weekend in Auburn? Packer and Durham. That's what gets me through.
Is that still on?
Probably.
I didn't know if it was. He lost the SiriusXM gig. I didn't know.
What?
Yeah, Packer. Yeah, he's not on that anymore.
No more phone calls for 4 hours a day?
That show sucked. So that was.
Well, that's your commentary, sir. That's your opinion.
Probables, dude. Let's do it. Fire it up. Let's get 2.
Oh, you got me.
Yeah,
you got me.
Got you sleeping.
Yeah, the legacy of Mark Packer right there.
Let's go, buddy.
It's time for, how you say, with the pitching, probables?
Pirates took another series over the weekend.
At what point? Don't like 12 teams get in every league now?
No, we stink, buddy. I'm just telling you. We need to play the Dodgers more. We'd be great then. D-backs, Reds, Madison Bumgarner, and Hunter Green is your matchup tonight. Rangers, Guardians, John Gray, Cal Quantrill.
You got to trade Bednar. That's what you got to do.
Oh, well, we do have to break. I mean, we will. There'll be a needy team out there, and he's worth it.
He's not even in arbitration yet. You could get a lion's share of prospects for him.
He's a beast. He's a good player. We should trade him. Mariners, Astros, Robbie Ray, Christian Javier. Blue Jays, Royals, Ross Stripling and Daniel Lynch. Red Sox, Angels, that is Michael Wacha and Noah Syndergaard. Mets, Padres, late night. You gonna watch? 9:40.
I'm still on Central Time. Maybe a few innings. Yeah.
Little Carlos Carrasco going for the Mets and Blake Snell.
They came back to earn a 4-game split with the Dodgers, who were pissed off after losing to your Pirates.
After getting swept by the Pirates.
That's right. I figured I'd let you do that.
Yeah, swept. Blake Snell, eminently unlikable. Not nearly the pitcher he once was. On the hill tonight for the Padres. And that is a look at those that shall reside on the bump. Now, it's interesting, Tom. I'll tell you this. I think it goes all the way back to the late 80s, early 90s. I do watch the College World Series and all of the subsequent games, even after we're bounced.
I think it's partly because I'm always locked into the Stanley Cup playoffs. That's a sport that I'll watch. And they run concurrently.
Yeah, I was going to say, but you can. I mean, I'm not going to choose that over the Lightning, which won in thrilling fashion yesterday afternoon when Palat decided at under a minute to go. Let's take it on to the hizzy.
Score!
Let's take it on to the hizzy. Yeah, that was good. It was good. You know why that was good? Beyond the obvious. I don't think I had overtime in me. I would have, of course, bucked up. But I didn't. I was like, no, I can't. Because that's the series. You lose that game, it's over. You win that game, we got a series. So you know that it's all on the line. It has to happen. And then it does because they got the heart of a champion. And that's a nice comeback from down 2-0. Come all the way back.
I know Corey's disappointed. He wanted his refund for Game 6 tickets, and now it's looking likely that there will be a Game 6.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
It could be over on
We'll
Thursday.
see.
It could very well
Yeah,
be.
I was gonna say,
but it would have been a refund. A refund situation had we lost.
Definitely would have been. Yeah. Congratulations to Lonnie Alameda, who has earned the contract extension, and that's a lot of guaranteed money through 2029. $5.615 million.
All right,
man.
Keep that program right
tell you
where it
something
is.
right now. If you told me that there was $5.6 million to be made in softball, I'd have stuck around some softball, buddy. Man, really?
I don't know. That would have been a tough one for you.
Well, I would have just kept thinking 5.6 million.
Right. Someday we're gonna get out of this slappy era, but I'm investing for the long term.
Would have been tough for me. You're right. I hated it for a very long time. It was unwatchable.
Hey, I got some breaking news for you from Auburn. They still chant SEC, SEC.
Do they really?
They did on Saturday. It really happened, and it was organic, and they weren't being ironic. They meant it.
Did everybody laugh at them?
Yes.
That's funny. That is really funny. By the way, that I will tell you the stock that I referenced earlier, the from John Ruiz. Remember last week I told you it was down 80-something%? It's down 91.5% now. Good work out of you, sir. Bye.